stories from on the set of Pirates. It's my favorite movie franchise.
Hi, Lauren. Oh my God, I have tons of stories. I was making those movies for about 5 years, right? They were long shoots. My favorite way to explain it is, you get to live in the Caribbean for a couple years, you get to take a speedboat to work, and then you get to hang with Keira Knightley all day.
There are worse things.
But the thing about those movies is that they were looking for the islands that were untouched, so they could look like we were going back in time. So you were never, there were a couple times we stayed in some nice places when the islands had them, but for the most part, you'd be in like a shack in the middle of a town, and you'd be living in the island life, and it was magical, The times you go out, those movies, we were on real pirate ships out in the ocean, so you'd kind of take a speedboat to a lot of times the makeup trailers and the wardrobe were on a barge in the middle of the ocean. Get off there, get ready, get into your pirate gear, get your sword, put your wig on or whatever, and then get on another boat, drive out, get off that boat, get on another one, and then go out to the Black Pearl that's bobbing in the sea. So it just was like, there was a romance to the actual filmmaking as well as to, play a pirate was like a dream come true. I'm a big Pirates of the Caribbean, the ride guy. So, yeah, it's my favorite, right? And so, I grew up in SoCal at a Disneyland. That was always my favorite ride. And so when that came true for me, I believe you can manifest a lot of dreams by just believing in yourself and kind of setting your intention. And that was a lifelong kind of dream come true to play a Disney pirate. And then of the way the audience reacted and the love that everyone had for it. So those were really special times for me. And of course, to work with Johnny, who's #1 movie star in the world, and Jeffrey Rush, getting an acting lesson every day and watching the star of Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley explode into the world. It's magical stuff, for sure. So your love is shared by the performers as well. And thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for being here.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Lauren. And great singing last night, by the way.
Yeah.
Hi Jared, Lee, Chris, I'm Abigail. I have a question for Lee, and it is, out of all of your terrible news announcements, which one was your favorite?
The one I'm going to do right now. Terrible! I had a couple, I liked the terrible news one from season 2 when Archie's like, well, what's up? It's like, would I say it's terrible if it wasn't terrible? That was a good one, but I think my favorite one, maybe it was season 3, when Lana goes, I know just who to tell, and then I bust into Granny's, there's a smash cut, and I'm like, so I'm obviously the gossip girl of the town as well. But that was a neat thing for that character, for me, that he had that little thing too, that he was kind of that town screamer, and I'll miss that part of it for sure. And I like the one where I think I yelled something about Abominable Snowman one time, and they gave me some really fun stuff to do. And I think that was really what was special about the Once Upon a Time experience for me, was that really getting to know the writers, and they actually would write for my voice. So I never found it challenging to scream and yell something like that. And the fact that the audience got such a kick out of it really became special to me as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Marina, and I guess my question is for all of you. If y'all had any scenes with Lana, which were y'all's favorite and why?
Mine's quick, I'll just get it out of the way. I only had one scene with Lana, and it was us playing dice together. I think that was basically it. And she was so lovely. She was really lovely. With everybody that was around, all the extras and everything, she just stayed there and hung with us in between scenes, and she's just that type of person. It was wonderful. That's my one experience. So short and sweet. On to you guys.
I'll let Lee go next because this
Yeah, you have a long one there. I had a lot of fun scenes with her. We were always rivals. I would always I always remember the fact that Grumpy or Leroy would always stand up to her and then always get tossed on his butt, I remember getting Vadered by her, choked out. That was really fun. Got choked out by Carlisle too. Getting choked out on the show. But I think my favorite stuff with Lana was kind of off screen. You know, we were pals from day one on the pilot. I consider myself the very first Evil Regal. And to watch her talent take hold and everyone recognize her as a superstar was fun for everybody else as well. You know, she's like Chris just said. I mean, she's an amazing woman and just a great co-star. And I think, you know, to see someone like that achieve this success, it rubs off on everyone. You know, when someone deserving is recognized for their talent and for their humanity. And yeah, and I think if I were to pick one scene, it would have been early on, a scene in Granny's when she brings the lasagna in, and I think it's poisoned.
Yeah.
And she tells me, no, it's just red pepper flakes. I was like, oh. And then I ate it, and it was pretty good.
I mean, I agree with Lee. I mean, Lana is absolutely incredible, and I see her as my second mom pretty much. She's always been there for me, and we've had so many amazing scenes together. I think if I had to pick just one, I'm gonna go more recent. This is one of the first scenes in the finale. I'm being a total asshole to her. I'm like totally going all Joffrey.
Well, I guess you're 18 now.
You can do that. Whoa, drop an A-bomb.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm way worse. I mean, I wasn't nice to her at all in the scene. Like I was actually quite horrible. But I was just, it was a lot of fun to try something new and seeing the look on Lana's face. She was like trying to stay in character, but at the same time, she was just so incredibly proud of how I was playing it, and she was like holding back a smile and tears, and I was just like, this isn't helping. I'm trying to be mean to you. And I think it was just
Did you talk like Mickey Mouse too at that point?
Yeah. But it was the feel on set that day was just so incredible. It was honestly, I think, one of the best experiences I've ever had on the show and on set in general.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jared.
Thank you.
Hi, I was wondering what your favorite season was.
Mine was 2, just because that's when I was introduced. No, but really, there was some substantial stuff in there. Getting to meet Colin and getting to work with him, and then my scene with Robert. I spoke about that in my panel yesterday too. The look of fear on my face is legit fear. When you're sitting across from Demon Robert Carlyle, and he's like bearing those eyes deep into my soul. It's a scary place.
They go right through you. They go right through you.
It cuts through you.
Yeah.
It cuts through you. So that, like, to me, was such a rewarding scene and an acting class all in one. It was like, so that, it was typified. It typified that whole season for me, and I loved it.
I don't know, from the perspective of a viewer, my favorite season to watch is season 1. I love the first season. The arc of it is just incredible. From the standpoint of an actor, my favorite stuff I've gotten to do on the show was in season 7. The last few episodes was just, as I said, the feel of it and how much fun it was incredible. It was really invigorating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go season 1, but in my analogy, it's like, any surfers out here? Anybody surfing? No? Only me, only? Well, you're sitting out in the water as an actor. This is gonna be, it may go over your head, but we'll try for the metaphor. You sit out there and you wait for a good wave to come in, right? And as an actor, that's kind of how it works, you know, you go out in the water, you audition, you try. Sometimes the waves just don't come, it's flat, right? And you're stuck out there and you're still having a good time, but you're not really surfing, you're waiting. And then all of a sudden, the swell, you see it in the distance, kind of like getting the script or getting an audition for this show. Then you get the part, and that the wave starts building. You drop in on the wave, and it gets bigger and bigger, and then you look around and it's over your head, and you're scared. You're scared. That's kind of like taking on a new role, like the challenge of it. And then all of a sudden, whatever you do, you just drop in, the wave picks you up and pushes you to the beach, and the magic starts happening, and it's one of the most freeing experiences. And that was like season 1 for me. The pilot was an amazing time, and then when you guys got to see it, and the love started, and the social media response started, and the energy behind the show started, I mean, it really, I still feel it today, 7 years later, that magic. And I also thought it was neat that in the first season, that it's not lost on me that, we're these magical characters that get cursed and sent to this horrible place, which is modern day America. But with no knowledge, we're magical. And then at the end of the season, suddenly we find out who we really are, we have that awakening, and then for the rest of the time, we're trying to get home. And I found that very poignant, that was kind of the essence of the whole show, was the hope of getting home, and the love of family, and that even if you were all kind of together on this strange kind of world, Storybrooke, we were still together as a unit. And that magic started in season 1. But yeah, acting challenges happened all throughout the show, and there's magical stuff. I love the work you did in season 3 when you and Robbie got to switch roles. I mean, you had a lot of your acting grew so much, bro, in terms of, your ability and the way you see it, and just your level of understanding, and then when your appreciation. That's one thing I love about you, is you were a star of the show, but you still appreciated, coming back and doing the work, and that's a good omen for the rest of your career. Always have passion for what you do, and stay humble and stay hungry. It's a good way to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Thank you all for being here, and happy birthday, Jared.
Thank you.
My question is for Chris.
Okay.
I know that deep down, Smee is a dead milkman. So where's your t-shirt?
I saw it and I was like, somebody on Twitter is like, bring your dead milkman t-shirt. And I was like, wait, was that for the next one or this one? Honestly, I was gonna bring it and I forgot it.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, but I am a huge Dead Milkman fan.
I know you are, and I don't have mine on either. You can sing Punk Rock Girl for me.
One Saturday, I took a walk to Zipperhead. I met a girl there and she almost knocked me dead. Punk rock girl, please look at me. What do you see? We'll travel around the world, just you and me. Punk rock girl. Thank you for that. I love that.
Hi, my name is Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
So first I have a little side note question for Jared. Did you like the cheesecake yesterday?
The cheesecake was great. Much obliged.
You didn't even share that. I didn't even get a piece. Okay.
You can have some.
Okay, cool. It's fine. Just saying.
And then, what's the most interesting thing you signed or interesting pose you've done in a photo op?
Oh, I have one right now. In the photo op, they wanted me to do a Deadpool pose. And it was the best thing ever. It was the best thing ever. I was just like, it was magical. It was magical. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Kudos. By the way, it's so much fun when people ask you to do silly things. We love it. So, well, I know that I do. Do you love it?
I love it unless I get jumped on and my back gets broken.
That's, you draw the line somewhere. But if we're being silly or acting something out, we love it, man. So don't be afraid to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, spice it up. I like
Give me something crazy.
I like being grumpy. I like the back-to-backs. I mean, there's been a lot of great ones from this show that have come out. It's always scary for me signing someone's prized object. And I mean, the scariest thing is when there's already 100 signatures and you're the last one. You're the last person in Star Trek I need for this autograph, and then you misspell your name. I've ruined it, but at least you got a story to tell.
Yeah, it's an heirloom from the set. No less. Yeah.
That's like pressure. It's like, how do I spell? And Lee, it's 3 letters, and I'll still mess it up.
You're like, my name's not Leah. What did I do?
Yeah, I mean, we're actors. We're not that bright, I need my glasses.
Thank God we're good looking, Lee. Thank God.
Double deep dish.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Heather, and my question's for Lee. Back in season 1, we got an episode that was grumpy based about Nova. Did you ever hope that they would go back and revisit Nova again later after the curse was broken?
She was always on a TV show. She's too popular. Honestly, no. Honestly, I think that his happy ending really was kind of love of family. He had a lesson to learn from his love. Dwarfs aren't meant to be loved. It was an accident. They dropped the fairy dust on him, and he got that capability. But he got just as much out of like kind of being part of the family, I think, at the end of the day. And a happy ending for him was probably, you know, learning to be happy for other people made him just as happy, like that kind of crazy uncle. I mean, Leroy or whatever, he made his own mistakes. Dreamy did, I guess, and then became the grumpy by denying her choice. She wanted to be with him, he wanted to be with her, but then he listened to the outside pressures of the other people and didn't follow his heart. And that's a big mistake. Sometimes you have to follow your heart, not knowing or being scared, face your fears. He didn't do that, you know, and so he lived with that kind of pain. But as I said, and that was one of the things I loved in this show, is that the reason that he's grumpy is because he had his heart broken and he made mistakes. And I learned that, you know, for the character, I figured he made peace with that eventually, right? But yeah, it would have been fantastic. Amy Acker's she's a lovely person and a great actress, and it would have been great to see what they would have come up with for the two of them. But I think Grumpy's happy where he ended up. I think he got his happy ending.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I just want to say, Jared, I love you. I love your character. Once upon a time would be the same without you. And my question is, what's your favorite line or quote you guys said, or what other characters have said?
I mean, it's hard because with that, there's so many like wonderful lines that I've said throughout the course of the show, and everybody's said a whole bunch of great stuff. I find my favorite lines are always the funniest ones. I remember season 3, Colin shows up at me and Emma's apartment in New York, not New York, Boston, wherever it is, and I just look at him and I'm like, what are you wearing? And it was the best thing ever because it was just so incredibly trolly. So that's definitely one of them. Or also, you know, just like my Pop-Tarts.
Who is this guy?
He's 18, Lee.
It's over.
It's over. He's a man now.
It's over.
You're all due.
It's 3 deep dish right here. What's that? That's right. We mourn the loss and celebrate the new. My favorite was probably when I'm trying to convince Captain Hook to let's bust a move out of here, and I say like, you know, as much as I'd like to stay, and I found this thing called Froyo. The Froyo line was my favorite. You know, despite wanting to go, I couldn't stay for some Froyo. It was something along those lines. That was my favorite. It was just quirky and kind of out of place. And I have a tendency to do that in TV shows and films with, say, weird, kind of fun little bon mots. I love that one. I love that.
I said a lot of funny things on the show that I like saying, but I think the one that always resonated with me was when I meet Snow White and she wants to take the pill and wipe out her memory, and I tell her that, the pain makes me who I am, you know? So living with my pain, you know, that it makes me grumpy, you know? And I think that's something that really stayed with me because, like, we all want to change our kind of behaviors or change the way the world sees us, but when you live with your truth, then everything goes down a lot smoother. Just accept who you are. Nobody's perfect, we're all just human beings, and even if you're a fairy tale character, you find that same thing is true. And his life mistake led him to his greatest kind of triumph, making family and connecting with Snow and being part of that. So that to me would probably be my favorite line. I need my pain, it makes me who I am, makes me grumpy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is Peyton, and my question is for Lee. Other than Captain Hook, if you had to choose any dwarf or even character to be Would you do that, or would you rather be like dark grumpy?
Oh, dark grumpy for sure. I mean, I think
Dark grumpy would be brutal.
I mean, he kind of was already dark, you know? But I mean, evil grumpy would have been fantastic. That guy would have been a crabby dude, you know? Swinging a pickaxe, like 4 feet nothing. Yeah, I mean, I think it's best as an actor to kind of like be happy with what you have and not covet other people's, but it would have been fun to try to be a Rumpelstiltskin or take your spin on something like that. I love wearing the makeup, and again, to watch kind of Robert's magic in his performance, it would have been fun to take on one of those kind of giggles. I would have loved to slip into an evil queen dress just once or twice.
Let's be honest here, Lee. Let's be honest.
I did it.
You did it.
Of course I did. Just a few times. But I think that's, you know, in life, everybody, I mean, I think that you always have to be thankful for what you have. And I always say the joke, it's like, you know, I don't go around asking God to give me a Mercedes, because I can hear God going, dude, you look so much better in a Jaguar. You know, so just be thankful. If you're asking for something like that, learn to like send your prayers to the universe in a generous way, not in a specific way that makes you seem greedy and selfish, you know? And I think that's the love of being an actor, is you just have to learn to like do the best with what you got. And I'm a character guy too, so I'm never gonna be that, you're never gonna be the star, you're a supporting player. And you learn to find your happiness there in other people. Making them laugh sometimes does it, or whatever, but yeah, the other dwarves, nah, maybe Doc, maybe, but I was happy with what I got for sure. Yeah, thank you, brother.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Hello, good morning, and happy birthday, Jared.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did not know that you were musicians. So from musician to musician, what would you do with your music if you weren't acting? And for Jared, I hear you do a really dope Stitch impression. If you could do that for us, that would be like super awesome.
Mahana means hamlet? I don't know.
I haven't heard that one yet. You've been holding out, man. He also does a pretty mean Mickey. Do a little bit of that. Hi, everyone.
I mean, music has always been, you know, I fool around with the harp for many years, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. I don't know if it would be anything I would kind of move into any other line than just kind of a fun thing for me, although I have gigged with a lot of bands and earned a lot of free beers doing it. But yeah, it's fun, and it's fun. You know, my favorite time playing music is actually, my son, I have an almost 11-year-old, and he's been playing drums now for close to 4 years, and he's pretty darn good. And so when his music teacher comes over and they go into a blues and they play some Zeppelin, and I bust out my harp and I run in the room and I try and jump in with them, that's the best. And my son's always like, your timing's terrible. What do you know, dude? You're 10 years old.
He's a drummer, though. He knows timing, man.
He's supposed to.
He knows timing. For me too, it's much like him. It's for fun. It's something that I would not consider myself a musician. If somebody said, "Are you a musician?" No. I just like to get up there and yell and scream and have a good time. For me, like, I do karaoke in Vancouver. Like, I know every night where there's a karaoke place going on. I'm that dude. And I hate that I just said that, but I am that guy. Yeah, that's weird. But for me, it's just fun. I've been in bands before. I have a Friday night jam session that I go to sometimes. We do like a bluesy type thing. What I would like to do is like sort of Queens of the Stone Age, sort of stadium style rock. Like avant-garde stadium style rock. Yeah, just something loud and proud, man. Thank you. Thanks for that question.
It'll be on display tonight, I think at 9.
It'll be on display tonight.
30.
Yeah. It was already on display this morning.
Hi, my question is for Jared. What was it like being Peter Pan in disguise?
It was awesome because it was funny, especially when I was playing Henry in those scenes. It was like me playing Peter Pan, playing Henry. So it was like me acting that I was acting. So it was like this weird, like, mind blown thing, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, playing Peter Pan in general was a lot of fun. Again, I love playing evil. It's my thing. So it was a lot of fun. And back then, I'd never done anything like it, so it was a really new experience, and I took it as a challenge, and I hope I did it right. So, yeah.
Hi, my question is for Jared as well. What was it like having to forget your relationship with Regina in Pan's Curse?
It was funny. I mean, it's always weird having to, like, I mean, for everyone, kind of like, even though you know someone, pretending that you don't know them. But it's also kind of a amazing opportunity because it lets you kind of, from an acting standpoint, rediscover that bond in that family and show people on screen like that kind of true love transcends memory and ideas and that sort of thing. It's a really cool thing.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
So my question is for Jared. How did you feel when you got kidnapped by Peter Pan and you got saved by your dad?
It was cool. It was cool. I mean,
getting kidnapped was cool.
Getting kidnapped was great.
We're going with that.
Great.
He's 18, Lee.
We're going with
different
that.
interests.
But no, it was cool because I was the first time I'd been away from the main cast of the show, and it was the first time I kind of was off on my own. It was a challenge from an acting perspective, and then getting rescued by Neil was great. I mean, I have some great stories from that season. Michael Raymond James threw me over his shoulder in one scene, and I just farted right in his face. Right in his face. And we're in the middle of a take, and he just yells across the stage, "What are you feeding this kid?" So that's definitely a fond memory. I was like 13. Just.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
He's so wild, crew.
He's official wild crew.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I have a question for Lee. Your character in Pirates of the Caribbean was my favorite ever since your first line in the movie. I really missed his character and his buddy in the last movie, so where do you think your character and him would be in the Pirates world now?
Running some pirate bar on some island somewhere, probably. Or in jail. I mean, it's funny with those two characters. I mean, I always used to say that we were trying to figure out like why those characters would be so close to each other, and we chose that basically his character was my nephew, so it's like my sister's kid, and I took him to sea. So we always joked that we shared half a brain. And yeah, I think we'd probably be running some bar somewhere, some tavern on some island, doing something like that. You know, they had like pretty humble dreams, and I think that would have made them pretty happy. You know, somewhere, probably jail though, but I'll go with the bar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for being here. My question is, was there ever a direction that the show went in that really surprised you?
For me, I think the Frozen thing just and not because it wasn't good, but it just was like so quick after the Frozen came out.
I agree, totally. I go with your answer.
I mean, mine not to cut you off, but I would say that, like, you know, when Red Riding Hood was the wolf, like that tripped me out hard, like, and yeah. In a way that, like, from that point on, no matter when you would read a script, I would read it with that sense of like a real page turner, like what's going to happen. So I built in my expectations to always be surprised with the way they wrote the show. So from that standpoint, I wasn't surprised when stuff would happen because I was always looking for that. But yeah, that very first time, because the only scripts that I would get were the scripts I was in. And that was maybe the third episode, and I remember watching it in my hotel room in Vancouver with Josh, even was there, and I did not know what was going to happen. And it was one of those literally where I was like screaming at the TV as it went off. I was like, wow! Because it was exciting to be part of a show where they would take I think one of the reasons why the show is successful, and it's one of the reasons why Pirates was successful, from taking something that was already established and already loved by an audience, which is a big responsibility for a creative team to do, something that's already known by people. And these characters, obviously the Disney characters and the fairy tale characters, are already well known. So if you go around changing stuff that the audience knows and loves already about the characters, it can be disappointing and feel like a violation of that trust. But when you take it and have the stuff that the audience already knows and loves about it, or like in Pirates, things from the ride that were in the first movie that made you feel like, okay, this is our Disney Pirates of the Caribbean, I get it. It takes the audience along for the journey. And it's respect for you guys as the audience when the writers do stuff like that. And I think that's really the most magical thing about the treatment of the material in Once Upon a Time, was how they would change stuff that was never in the Disney myth. That myth stuff,
the Peter Pan thing too.
Yeah, that stuff was left.
Yeah.
But he turns out to be Rumpel's dad, he turns out to be all this stuff, but it was stuff that wasn't explored. The stuff that was about the Lost Boys was consistent. It was the turns that they did. And that's what always kept me intrigued and excited about what they were gonna do next. And once that first season came around and I saw, okay, that's pretty brilliant what we did with Red Riding Hood, she eats her boyfriend. And I just thought about what my favorite line of the whole show was. Darn, I just thought of it for the question an hour ago. It's when, I forget what season, but I come up on Red, it must have been season 2, and I go to her, I go, Red, you got someone on your chin.
Bold Disney. Holy cow, you got someone on your chin.
Yeah, it stuck through, you know. That's one of those lines you throw away and hope it makes the fun.
No big deal,
Yeah,
nothing to see here.
There's nothing to see here, folks. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello. I was wondering if all three of you could do a representation of Bobby, sorry.
Of Robert?
Yeah.
A Rumpel impression.
Magic always pays a price.
All magic comes with a price.
Very good question, Dave.
Thank you.
I don't know. That was terrible.
And that was, all three were awful, but yeah, best we got.
We tried.
So why were the wild?
A for effort.
It's why we're the got you to wait all
Because it gets better for
It's gonna only get better.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering if a kid came to your door and told you that they were your child and you were cursed.
Finish the question, sorry?
How would you react to that?
I go, is Aaron here? No, I would freak out. I would completely freak out. I mean, you would want to believe him, but at the same time, you know, like with my family inside, my kids just go back in, it's nobody. And by the way, it's happened before. No, I'm just kidding.
Ditto. I think that would weird you out. I mean, it would be challenging. I mean, that's why it's in the story, right? You want characters to have those moments of like, holy cow, like what am I gonna do now? Like we got to see from Emma Swan, you know, in that first one, you know, that there's a lot of magic that happened in that pilot, and that scene that you guys did was brilliant, you know.
I think if it happened to me, I'd probably like, you know, just be like, are you a time traveler or something? Are you a time traveler? Am I on a TV? And then start breaking the fourth wall. Just like, guys, I'm on a TV show.
Like Truman Show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was
Hi.
fun, sorry.
Hi, my name's Brianna. My question is for Jared. So what was it like to work with people that were so much older than you? And what are some acting tips that they gave you?
It's funny. It was a real honor being able to work with so many experienced actors and learn incredible amounts from them. I mean, most of the tips I've learned from them is just kind of stay true to the character, be natural. It's funny, acting can't always really seem like acting, because if it feels like someone's acting, it's not believable. And then also, one of the things that is always helpful that I've had a lot of more experienced actors say is kind of set your intention in the scene with each line that you're working towards an objective. And then you have to figure out what the obstacles are and how to get past them. And if you can get the person that you're in a scene with to give you what you want or to do that sort of thing, then you have successfully acted through a scene. That was a very helpful tip I got from some people. And also, it's just being able to learn how to act off of someone, take what they're giving you and give it back. It's really important to be able to give them a lot to work off of, because when it's your coverage, sure, it's your face, but then you also have to remember that you have to be working just as hard when it's on their coverage, because you need to be your best for them.
Thank you and happy birthday.
Thank you.
One more?
Open question, do you guys have any songs that instantly put you in a good mood?
What mood?
Songs that put us in a good mood.
Feel good songs.
Right now, there's this song, I don't know the artist that well, but Father John Misty does this song called Mr. Tillman, and he's addressing himself in the song. You gotta check it out. It instantly puts a smile on my face, and I'm like, yeah, come on, world. I love it. Check it out. It's really cool.
I don't know. For me, when it comes to feel good songs, whenever I need a boost, I always listen to anime theme songs, like the opening songs to anime. It just totally gives me a boost. Like the Attack on Titan theme, I'm just like, da-na-na-na-na-na, I'm ready to go.
I mean, for me, it's just it's probably like Bob Marley for me, I'm an old reggae guy, so just reminds me of good times. Little Kaya, that song, I don't know what brings it out. It reminds me of good moments in my life. But it could be anything. I mean, sometimes sometimes you need to start your day with some rock and roll, sometimes you need to start it with some country, sometimes some jazz. Just be open to it. Let it, just whatever your mood is, for sure. But I think that's why random play on your iPhone is always a good one, because sometimes just hit shut and going leave it up to the big man.
For me, it's Run the Jewels too. Anything by Run the Jewels, I'm super down with that.
Or the Wild Cruise song.
Well, the Wild Cruise song. How about, you know what song I really like? Born to be Wild.
To be wild. All right, well, everybody, thank you so much to the Wild Crew, to Mr. Chris Gauthier, Mr. Jared Gilmore.